Well, now that we are all relaxed and happy, I will love to introduce another dear friend of mine whom I've known for about 3 years now. We worked together on the expose documentary, just like Sheldon. But Kristin and I also worked together when we were helping them with the nonprofit that I can never remember the name of anymore because it never went anywhere. So, Kristen, you can finish that story for us.
Okay.
But we got to know each other very well, and um, we have a lot in common when it comes to our vision of mental health and what we feel with healing and support for domestic abuse survivors. And her her program is amazing and kind of woo woo, which is why I feel she fits in beautifully with us. And so, without further ado, I am going to introduce my beautiful friend, Kristin Folts, to the stage.
Thank you so much, Crystal, and everyone who's here. That was beautiful, April and Jalen. I really appreciate the time to putting this summit together, and it's quite an honor to be with you here today. Our common denominator is thriving after domestic abuse, whether that's physical, mental, spiritual, sexual, financial. It doesn't matter whether it happened when you were young or when you were in your first marriage or your second marriage. The common denominator is thriving after the trauma, surviving instead of just, thriving instead of just surviving. And that's been a common denominator for my story. I am a former social worker working with kids in foster care, licensing adoptive families, trauma trainer, and my whole career has been revolving around helping children heal and mamas connect to themselves, healing their mom triggers, and helping them connect to the best version of themselves so they can be the inner peace for their children. And Crystal mentioned that her and I connected a couple of years ago, and that was through really a time in my life where I was in the thick of it. I was, a few years prior, I was living on a farm with my covert abusive husband. I had taken our vow seriously, and even though the abuse was starting to escalate to physical and multiple times a week, I had a very young daughter that I was scared to leave with him. And this part of the story isn't something that I have talked a lot about. I've spent many years helping other people heal from their experiences, their big T traumas and their little T traumas. But as far as being on the woo side, I have kind of kept that on the back, not so much the back burner, but I have chosen specific times and places to share the woo-woo side of the healing journey and share that with more of my inner circle clients and some friends and some family, because when I left that domestic abuse situation, it was violent. And I came from a very small town, good old boys club, and the system was not in my favor. Hundreds of years ago, they would have burned me at the stake. And there were many times that I felt those experiences within my body, my spirit, my bones. And it was through those experiences in 15, 16, 17 that I really began to embrace who I am outside of this traumatic experience that I wasn't talking about. I was helping kids heal from their own traumas and coming home to a war zone. And I was such religiously programmed to think that this would be my reality forever. And when I began to express myself and find my voice and find the next level of my calling, it was to be a healer. It was to advocate for women like me who had been threatened, who had been physically violated, who had been told, I'm going to tell them it was you, and I'm going to take your child, and she will never be heard from again. And I took those threats seriously because the person who I thought loved me and had been married to for several years at that point was someone I didn't even recognize. And when I talk about these sides of things, I need to do a trauma trigger warning here, because as we each go through our own domestic abuse healing journey, there's times when there needs to be triggers. So part of my journey is now in 2024 coming full circle to come out to each of you and say, hey, listen, what I experienced was dark and dirty, but this is where I am at now. This is where I have gone from trauma to trust, wounds to wisdom, chaos to calm. And moving forward, when I left the farm permanently in 2018 with my young child, my intuition was trashed. I had been going through my spiritual awakening. I had been going through a lot of religious abuse, physical abuse, mental, emotional, financial. And I was reaching out to people I thought could help me find what my truth was, because I didn't trust my intuition. I didn't trust that all the things that my body was screaming at me, the muscle memory of the trauma was saying, get out, stay, the love bombing, the cycle of abuse. It was just so prevalent every day. And I questioned myself, am I doing the right thing? Can I leave my child with this person? Can I survive one more day and pray a little bit harder for that miracle that the religious community was, one, protecting my abuser, but two, gaslighting me into think that if I prayed harder and I believed longer and I could pray through it, my husband, who was abusing me behind closed doors, would miraculously never do it again, be healed, and we'd have a happy life. And I realized through finding my voice and leaving that situation, not once, but twice, because I was gaslighted and love bombed back in, because I wanted my family to stay together. The mind fuckery was so deep and so thick that it did not feel safe within my body, within my mind, my spirit, just the whole 9 yards. I couldn't make a decision. It didn't feel safe to trust. And I know many of you have experienced this. Who do I trust? What do I trust? What am I receiving? Is it my amygdala firing off? Is it my programming of childhood? Is it my fear? What is it? Is it abuse? And so the dynamics and the energetics of abuse can really fuck somebody up. I don't like to say that word, but there's really, in essence, really no other word that can truly embody and encompass what happens. And so I call it mind effery, because that's really what it is. And with that comes the emotional component, the energetic component, the spiritual component. And in therapy, we're taught that, we should talk it out, we should trust and all that. And coming from a clinical therapy background in my social work years and, my trauma trainings and trauma-informed this and trauma-informed that, and I was helping parents heal themselves and calm their mom triggers, I was missing a part of the equation, the puzzle. And that was really healing the nervous system on an energetic and emotional level, healing the DNA on an emotional and energetic level, spiritual level, and saying yes to the divine. Yes, there is more to healing than just talk therapy. And I am an advocate of it, but I had to give myself permission to say, I can bring the healing, I can bring the support, I can be that way shower, that path follower to say, come with me. I don't know all the answers, but come with me and I'll help you. I'll give you a safe place to heal. I'll give you supports and things to work through with your children. That is one of the essences of my work, is helping moms heal themselves and heal their children when it comes to thriving and trusting themselves after abuse. And what I have found over the years is that mind fuckery can be so ingrained in our nervous system and our DNA and our muscle memory of our bodies that it gets overridden, if you will, from our intuition. And sometimes it's not safe to trust your intuition. And so I wrestled with that. I wrestled with mom guilt. Because in 2019, as I was trying to be amicable with someone who didn't have the capacity or the emotional intelligence or maturity to be amicable, I trusted this person, and I went back and forth that night before. We were in Central Florida at that time. I had moved from the Ocala area to the Tampa area where I had grown up, and I was in a safe place. And I wrestled with, do I really trust this person enough to allow him to have her for the day? Because it was supposed to be just for the day. This is Christmas Eve of 2019. And this was a pivotal experience for me in the trauma experienced to my intuition. And I remember going back and forth. What is the courts going to want me to do? What is the right thing for my child? What is the right thing? What would I want somebody else to do for me? And I thought, and I vacillated, and I struggled with that. And my little girl, she's an old soul, very intuitively connected to me. Like, we are literally, it's hard. Sometimes I'm like, listen, like, you're reading my energetics here, kiddo. Like, we have to be separate. And, you know, my finding my inner peace was part of healing the intuition, that journey of that. And so I let her go, questioning my intuition, questioning, am I doing the right thing? I let her go that day. And unfortunately, that person chose to keep her for 6 days. Now, we have a 2.5-year-old, not delayed, but having some needs, not communicating well, thinking mommy's going to come back. And this person who has not had her more than a couple of hours, 2 times in her 2.5 years, takes her for 6 days. And I agonized for 6 days. Would I see my child again? How could I have not listened to all of the things going off in my body? I didn't listen because I wanted to do the right thing, and I wanted to look like the right parent, not the right parent, but the more stable and emotionally, you know what I'm saying. I wanted to be amicable. And that caused a chain of events for myself and for my daughter to not trust myself even more, because it has caused major trauma. And through that journey, and through connecting back with the divine and saying, heal the parts of me that could ever resonate with someone who could make me think that it would be okay to trust them with my most precious gift. And that experience, not being able to come back to my daughter, the person took off with her, remained in the state of Florida. And in Florida, even though I don't agree with all the court mandates, possession is 100% of the law, essentially. So on a ethical and emotional and trauma level, this person did a huge wound and trauma towards our family genetics, myself, my child, multiple generations. Criminally, there was nothing I could do because this person was also her parent. And even though I had tried and petitioned the courts, Your Honor, let's get a safety plan in place. Let's get a temporary parenting plan. Let's try to be as amicable as possible. I couldn't protect my child in that moment. So when I got her back 6 days later, she was extremely traumatized. And it was traumatic for both of us. I felt like my child had been kidnapped, and he got away with it, essentially. And since that day, since December 24th, 2019, my focus and my passion has been healing the nervous system and the body, and trusting and helping other people heal their nervous system and their DNA and their intuition from the traumas that they've experienced in life. And I think one reason why I chose to do this topic specifically is my daughter is currently, she's 7 and in the 2nd grade. She's currently with that parent in New Jersey. We are currently in Tennessee. Her and I live in Tennessee. And I am very careful what I say, what I put out there when she is gone. And I'm very careful what kind of activities I do, because there is an energetic connection between her and I that I can only be so thankful for that the divine has given us, because without that, she would not have been able to fully process what she has experienced. And I utilize things like essential oils and cards and breath work and energy work and the Healy scans. You know, one of my visuals, this is one of my daughter's stuffies. It's a little rabbit. And one of the things that I have encouraged her to do, she has a very vivid imagination. I feel like she has more healing and spiritual gifts than I could ever imagine. And so it's like parenting a little version of me, knowing she is just bound for greatness. And one of the focuses of healing your intuition for my clients and those I work with is being able to trust what you're receiving is for your highest and best. And this little bunny represents the truth, the love, the safety, the security of home to her. And she has a little, she calls her Foxy. We got her at in the Tetons and West Yellowstone last year. And it's her new stuffy that she doesn't go anywhere without. Like, she rides to school with us, she comes home, we have conversations with her, and I allow her to express her emotions and her feelings. And I am teaching her the difference between what is truth and what is gaslighting, what is love and what is love bombing. I attempt not to talk negatively against the other parent, but at 7, she can tell you the difference between allowing a voice to be heard and being stifled. She knows the difference between encouraging for her to have a voice, have an opinion, trust her intuition, trust what her body her, versus the other side of it where she is sent to figure out her emotions by herself in a dark room, and how that even causes trauma. So when I sent her, I had to fly with her because the other parent thinks it's okay for her to fly alone, and to each their own, but I am not one of those parents who says, hey, see you later, bye. So we fly together from Nashville to New Jersey every time she has a visit. And we talk about ways to remind our body when to feel safe, how to feel safe. We utilize tapping, we utilize vision work, we utilize grounding. One of her favorite things to do when she comes back from a visit is to hug a tree. So we'll envision putting our roots down through our feet and all the things has experienced during that week that she's had to carry in her heart that she couldn't express and she couldn't verbalize and work through, because that's not encouraged in the other home. We hug trees. We ground our energy. We talk to Mother Earth. We talk to the divine. And we ground ourselves in the truth of we are safe, we are trustworthy, we are accepted, we are just an array of things. And I know when I'm working with her energetics of her body that there is a divine connection and a truth between us versus the other environment that she's in. And I feel like trusting your intuition can be kind of just a broad spectrum thing, but there are specific things that we can do to encourage ourselves, but also our children who are put in these situations that aren't going to be as healthy as they are in our home. They're not going to be encouraged to, have a voice, have an opinion, as their emotions and feelings. They're not going to be able to feel safe in expressing themselves. And then with these little T's and these big T's, the body keeps the score. Muscle memory says 5 generations ago, your great grandmother experienced this and it manifests in your DNA. Those are the things I love to work with because those are the muscle memories that can be energetically cleared, emotionally cleared with energy work, with trusting the divine, with grounding your energy, with using the support of essential oils and frequency work and Reiki. There's all kinds of things that we can do to support the nervous system and the DNA. Our intuition can mean different things to different people. And the more aware and attuned you are to what your body is telling you, what your emotions are telling you, the body and the organs that we have, the organs we have in our body, they resonate. And they're negative emotions typically. And there's energetics at play for generations ago that are manifesting in our lives now. Traumas. I teach that 3 generations ago, when you were just a tiny cell in your mother's womb, you experienced things that your grandmother was living every day because you were growing as a cell in your mother's reproductive tract. And then you conceived and then you passed it on. And trauma doesn't have a clear-cut, cookie-cutter guidelines. And I talk about that in my text, giving your inner child permission to heal. And it talks about how it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to experience trauma. You're going to experience situations that you may lose trust in yourself and the divine and trust that you're safe. That is being able to do that is a beautiful thing. And it takes work and being attuned to what is my body experiencing this situation. And then when you go to leave that situation, what are you experiencing? What are you taking with you in those traumas? And then it's a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, you think you're doing the inner work and you are. And some days are great and some days are like, what the F? And then you realize and you give yourself grace and you ground your energy and you think about, okay, what is the lesson in this? Where is it in my body that I need to release the emotions of helplessness, fear, abandonment, being visible? That was something that I have struggled with is I can do my work. I don't have to advertise myself. I don't have to put myself out there. And I said the divine would bring me clients, and they have. But I'm at the point where I have done the cellular level work that has allowed me just in the last 6 months to a year, especially the last 6 months, to say, you know what? It doesn't matter what you think. The best revenge is me living my best life. The best thing that we can do for ourselves and our intuition and our muscle memory of our body is say, doesn't matter what you think. I am going to thrive. I am going to overcome. I am going to experience life in ways where freedom rings, where I can be free to express, where I can be free to think and embody and experience. Those are the things that matter to our nervous system and our intuition. Those are the things that make us be free from the prisoners that we have become because of abuse. And in my situation, I have to attempt to amicably co-parent with this person, and it is a struggle. Just the other day, I got triggered over something very minute, and I felt very threatened, and I was like mommy bear mode, right? And then I was like, okay, wait a second. If I spout off at this person, that gives them ammo. And I thought, what is the peaceful approach here? Now, I've been doing this a while, and I still had a trigger after 6 years of let's duke it out, you know? And I realized, like, I'm not serving my highest and best by allowing this person to get into my head and make me want to fight. And it was a beautiful thing. A beautiful moment of remembrance for me because I remember the moments of being frozen, not trusting my intuition, not speaking out, not standing up because I didn't know what was going to happen next. I didn't know what was going to happen next. And that causes the disconnects and the intuition. And it causes us to question our intuition and our discernment. And it's a beautiful thing to see where we have come. And it's a beautiful thing to imagine where we're going. And it is a beautiful thing to know that we have gifts that we can connect to through the divine, through our spirituality, our religion, Mother Earth, Father, Son, God, whatever it is. And I am still learning in many areas, but the divine has taught me many things. And I know that I have to trust. I have to have discernment. I have to give myself permission to heal and feel and express. And these are all ways that you can utilize into healing your intuition and helping your children process the traumas of what they experience when they're away from you. Going back to this bunny, every night before I lay down and I close my eyes and I do my meditation and prayer time, I snuggle up to this little bear and I say, I love you, Emma. I'm proud of you. Mommy misses you and we're going to be home soon together. You're doing so great. And I firmly believe that by setting the intentions that I'm speaking life and love and healing into this little rabbit on an energetic and emotional level, because she has said, I'm taking my little rabbit with me, Mommy. You keep her, you talk to her. She believes that this little rabbit sends her messages every night. There's a bedroom routine that we follow when she's gone, and I try to keep it as much as I can to the routine that I have when she's here, because she is emotionally and energetically connected to this little rabbit. And sometimes it's hard to be the bright light. Yep. Sometimes it's hard to be the bright light in the darkness. Sometimes it's hard to hold space for everything that's going on. But when you give yourself permission to release the fears, release the worries, the overwhelm, the helplessness. I had a ton of helplessness stuck in my nervous system that I had to energetically work through. I had emotional resonances and DNA markers of so much helplessness. And I even went further, and there was ancestral stuff and DNA. All this stuff comes up in this life to either teach us a lesson, pay a karmic debt, or heal some shit. Like heal it. Like, let's heal the family tree, y'all, because we are the change makers. We are the path showers. We are the seers and the truth tellers and the healers. Everyone has a gift to heal themselves. Everyone has a gift to heal their ancestral, their family lines, their DNA. Everyone has a gift. Even the most silenced, traumatized person has gifts that they can divinely connect to through Christ consciousness and their spirituality and say, this stops with me and I have to heal me so I can help my next generation heal. We all have the power to heal our intuition and heal our discernment. And we all have different life experiences that tell us we can or we can't, or conditioning or religious beliefs or traumas. Inner child work is a huge component of that. And that leads to healing mom triggers. That leads to healing ancestral traumas and DNA markers and nervous systems. Our body talks to us every day. Are you listening? Can you hear it? Can you understand what it says to you on an energetic level? Think about it like this. You're driving a car, the check engine light comes on, and you keep driving, and you're like, I don't have time for this, right? And you stop at the stoplight, and the engine kind of, and you're like, okay, don't stop on me. I got to get somewhere, right? And you're just, and you're driving, listen to the radio, try not to honk at people for being whatever in traffic. And it starts blinking. When it starts blinking, what do? Do you ignore it or do you stop and you figure out what's going on? Trauma can make us not want to stop the car. Trauma can make us want to put a sticky note on there so we pretend it doesn't exist because we know the price tag. We know what it's going to cost us. We know that we may lose friends and loved ones and careers, potentially even our children. And while I was spared the experiences of not having my daughter with me, and I only didn't have her for 6 days, there are people in this room who live it every day. And I have friends and clients who live it every day. And I know the amount of trauma that was experienced in those 6 days and the amount of inner work and healing that has had to happen for myself and my daughter to be at a place where we can be separate from each other, where she can go to school pretty much every day without having panic attacks or anxiety. And that trauma was done to her by someone who was supposed to love her and protect her and keep her safe. She has that parental wound that I have tried so hard to heal for her. And as she's gotten older and she began to speak, there were times where I said, honey, I don't know what to do for you, but we're going to believe that the divine had a perfect plan for you. And I tried to come back. That is one thing that I questioned. Did I do enough for her, knowing that he had taken her and he ran with her? And then the person he was with had questionable intentions. So there's also that guilt that I've had to work through. My intuition has been trashed on more than one occasion in the healing journey of recovering from domestic abuse. But I am happy to say, humbly, but yet starting to be more loudly, that I am not a victim. I'm an overcomer. I'm a thriver. And these gifts that I have been given from the divine are not necessarily accepted by all. We have a world that Mother Gaia is essentially in demise, disrepair. All the things that mankind has done started out as positive things, and now things like weather modification and northern lights and, weather warfare and chemical warfare, all these things are injuries towards humanity. But if we dial it down into our homes, into our emotions, into our everyday conversations, we have a part in healing that. We have the ability to heal those things for ourselves and our family and our generations going beyond us. And that is a beautiful gift. And I love how peaceful parenting, healing the nervous system, doing cranial sacral massages and visceral work and chiropractic work and spiritual warfare and tapping and energy work and naming those emotions and giving my child a safe place to express herself, that I'm doing the work and standing in the gap for her to heal the things for her that have been damaged and wounded. And we have a gift to do that for ourselves. They say on an airplane, put your oxygen mask on first and then help your child. We forget sometimes that if our inner chaos isn't handled, it's impacting our children. It's impacting our spouse. It's impacting our animals. Animals are very intuitive. They can sometimes pick up on energetics that we are not even aware. Tones, frequencies, intentions. Have you ever had a dog or a cat that you thought liked somebody and then they're like, oh no, I don't like that person. And you found out later, like there was a reason why your animal didn't like that person. They're very in tune. And so encouraging things in our life that rise our frequency. Nikola Tesla said the secrets of the universe are in what? Energy, frequency, intentions. I kind of probably butchered that, but basically he said the secrets of the universe are in vibrations, frequencies, and I don't remember. But beautiful man. So intelligent, way beyond his years. And when he died, the government seized all of his work. And I firmly believe that mind control and frequency work and things like that that we use for healing are used as weapons against humanity. And that's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist of me coming out. But if there's patents for it, is it really a conspiracy theory? If we know energy work can help a grumpy baby eat their food after a nap because there's been energy work done for them, or Reiki, or some essential oil rubbed on the bottom of his feet for his stuffy nose, and 2 minutes later he doesn't have a stuffy nose. Believing in the unseen, encouraging the spirit realm to come to us and comfort us. We have divine helpers. We are born with a group and a team of divine helpers. And many people don't have the opportunity and the honor to connect with their divine, what I call the divine support team, the angelic realm, the spiritual realms. We have beautiful gifts that we can connect to help us see the unseen, to help us connect to what our body is trying to tell us. Because there is so much chaos in our nervous system, there's so many things going on that we don't hear the whispers. We don't hear the angel number or see the angel numbers go by. We don't see the little gifts that our guardian angel that we're given at birth, that I believe each of us have, is sending us. That is something else that has helped my daughter tremendously. I have an angelic team. My guardian angel's name is Daisy, and she has come to me many times. My daughter's guardian angel's name is Harmony, and we have a shared, essentially, a protection angel. And my daughter will say to me, can Samuel go with me to school today? I'm like, yes, ma'am. He's going with you. You want him to sit in the front seat? And she's like, yeah, come on, Samuel. Teaching our children to trust themselves and maybe be a little bit different than mainstream. We're doing them a disservice if we don't encourage that, because that is part of how we heal and we connect to the divine and connect to ourselves. Because there is so much of mankind in the 3D dimension that wants us suppressed and silent. And the part of healing our intuition is to rise up and say, this is my truth. This is what I stand for. Abuse, neglect, abandonment, those aren't my vibrations anymore. I want healing. I want happiness. I want peace. Anything that causes chaos gets cut. That's been my theme for 2024. And let me tell you, it has been a bumpy ride for 24. But I'm going into 25 with more peace, more love, more joy, more a lot of things. It's okay to want more. It's okay to do more than just survive. And giving yourself permission to thrive, to have happiness, to have joy, to have peace, to have but tons of money where you can help yourself and help your community and help your loved ones. It's okay to have money. That piece of scarcity and lack is something else that was significantly damaged when I was leaving that first marriage. That covert, abusive, physically, emotionally, lots of other kinds of abuse were happening. I thought I would never be more than somebody's wife, quiet, silent, and threatened. And I was the one who was helping children heal from their traumas and doing TED Talks and helping, moms reunite with their kids. And I was brainwashed and gaslighted to think that if I couldn't heal my husband, what was I doing with other people? That I had the imposter syndrome. These mind effery things that happen when we experience abuse causes us to not trust ourselves, causes us to give our power away, or our power is taken from us because of a traumatic event or multiple traumatic events. One concept that I work with in my peaceful parenting approach with my child, but also my clients, is called felt safety. And felt safety on our neurological spectrum is basically if you tell a 3-year-old that they're safe and they don't think they're safe, they're going to flip out, right? But if you look at them and you get on their eye level and you show them that they're safe and they believe that they're safe, even if they're in a dangerous situation, they're going to believe and they're going to trust that I'm safe. And that's the difference, is when we come out of abuse, people say, oh, you're fine, or oh, you're get over it. They minimize what we've experienced. But having someone that says, that was really traumatic, I've experienced similar. You can get through this, but I'm really sorry this is happening, and this really sucks. Toxic positivity doesn't help anybody. But sometimes we have to experience the darkness, and we have to get down to those cellular level traumas that tell us we can't be more than what our abuser thinks we are. And we all know that there is beauty in the ashes. And as a phoenix, we rise. My whole life was set on fire July 31st of 2019. And what was left was burned to the ground on December 24th, 2019. And it has taken me several years to rebuild. And I am so thankful. Even though it was traumatic, I'm glad it burned to the ground. Because now, 5 years, 6 years later, I can look back and say, oh, that was not a great situation, but this is what I learned from it. These are the ways I was able to support myself, support my child, support our nervous system, heal ourselves, and rebuild the connection that was broken by the fact that she thought I wasn't coming back to her. And I had no control over that. Those kinds of things are how we heal our intuition and our discernment. Transitioning into a part where I would like to give either a group healing to or an individual muscle testing or intention little exercise for you, I would like to gift you. I did two things. I gifted you. I want to look at the comments because I think someone said that they had a Healy too. I've already done a scan for the collective group for healing our intuition. And I did a scan for that. Let me see if I can pull it up and I can tell you all exactly what we scan for. I do a lot of muscle testing. That is my primary way of communication. I use my intuition as well. But I like, raise of hands, see if I can see you guys. How many of you are familiar with muscle testing and kind of how it works with the energetics of the body? A couple of hands, several hands. Okay. So what I have found, here's the disclaimer on muscle testing. The traumas can be stuck in our energy fields to the point where someone can muscle test something and your energy fields tells them it's one answer, when in reality, the truth, divine truth, is that it's another. And that's another area that I have focused on, is healing the energy fields and removing the projections, removing the cordings and the residue of trauma. Because what's in our energy field can be projections from our abusers, from the ancestors that abused us. I know, mind blown. I can see your face, April. Like, it was like when I realized that a couple of years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, this changes everything. So that is something else to be aware of. But yes, muscle testing is a beautiful tool to support our healing and our energetics and our spiritual growth journey. So I muscle tested it and we went for 27 minutes. I screenshot it. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let's see. We went for 27 minutes. We worked on Harmony 1, sleep, well-being, nutrition, and Cycle H. So that is my gift to you all on a collective level. I set the intention that anyone is here for live or on the replay will experience that frequency healing on your behalf. So you can just set the intention, close your eyes for a second and say, I accept that gift from Kristin and the quantum fields for the Healy frequency healing. But what I would like to do, Let me see. So I talked about Reiki and energy healing, naming the emotions. I would like, Crystal, if you don't mind, I'd like to open it up for some Q&A if there's time. I don't know how much time we have. I don't know how far I'm here.
You have 5 minutes, so that's
Okay.
fine. And actually, really, April does have to leave. So I'm going to let April go first, and then I have something I wanted to say. So go
Sure.
ahead, April. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, Kristin. That's all I can say. All the things that you were saying, I'm like, yes, yes,
I saw you
yes.
cheer me on, girl.
I don't know if you heard the stained glass windows when I was talking about the felt sense and the nervous system and all the things. So I love how this is going. Again, I call this the stone soup of collective consciousness.
Yes.
Everyone here is contributing their beautiful essence, and that way we amplify this across the globe. So thank you. Thank you. And I too own a Healy, and I put in the chat. My
Okay,
son is in boot camp right now, and I've been scanning and sending. And yeah, it came up with, bioenergetic harmony. I'm speaking your language, but everybody else is like, what's that? But he called the other day and he has the sniffles. So that was coming up. I'm like, he must be sick. There must be something happening there. But just him knowing that I'm sending him frequency, he didn't get as sick as everyone else.
Awesome.
It's also psychological there, right? And nerves and everything. Everybody's like going through boot camp. But anyway, the Healy is amazing.
Yes.
For those who are interested, do you sell it?
I do. I also.
Okay, that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. So connect with Kristin if you want more information about the Healy. It's absolutely phenomenal, crazy cool stuff there. So thank you, Kristin, for sharing. I love all the work that you're doing, and the little bunny with your daughter. Oh my gosh, that little portal you created. That's amazing. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. For this contribution today. I'll hang on for a little bit more, but I do have to leave at 2:30. So love you all.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. What I would like to do, just so I don't have to talk about it further and we can move on, I'm going to go ahead and post my information and my links. I've got my free Facebook group, my natural medicine and healing. I talk about my WellStat in there. My website, my coaching practice is called Healing Home Coaching. Mm-hmm. And so there's all kinds of different packages and experiences and programs that anyone can check out and experience.
Perfect. I was going to actually request that. My comment actually is about the bunny.
Yes.
A lot of you know that I unfortunately don't have my girls. I don't know if you know about the Warmies toy stuffed animals where you can warm them up and they are heated and everything. Well, for the last Christmas that I actually got to spend with my girls, I got us matching sets. They have the other.
That's so sweet. Ollie's looking at his,
and elephant. And I told them when I gave them to them that anytime that they missed me or anything, all they had to do was give it a hug, and that I was hugging them back, and that their sisters would pass on the messages to me. So these little guys sit next to my bed. Every night I give them a kiss goodnight and everything, because, I do miss my girls, and I do believe that they still hug theirs, and, I do feel their energy through them and everything.
I firmly believe that there is healing power in the energetic cording of love and light we have for our children. And childlike wonder and trust is a beautiful thing that trauma takes from them. And I love the fact that you do that for your kiddos. And it has made a profound difference for our story, in her being able to process things. And I'll tell her, at night, tell mommy what's going on. And that way you don't have to keep it inside. And that's made such a difference for her too.
Oh, unfortunately, I haven't seen my girls since January 9th of 2022. But every night I still, doesn't matter. I don't miss a night.
I think another thing that could help both of you, all three of you, is talking to their inner child, quieting the mind and sending them intentions to their actual inner child, because that is an essence and something that I work with quite a lot. That inner child work, sending it from mama to them and sharing your light and your harmony and your peace, especially when they may not be in a peaceful situation. And I do know part of your story. And so I can say that's another way you can help them heal, is by sending them the calming, peaceful harmony energies through your little bears, because these are energetic portals. Like you said, these are energetic portals to our babies.
Yep.
And it matters. Mm-hmm. And it means something. Yes, Ollie, I like your little bear.
Well, but yeah, I wanted to share that I completely agree with that whole thing. Like I said,
for that.
Yep. So, Ollie was next for the hand raise, and then Sharon, and then we have our beautiful Toby.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Kristin, for your share. And I pour so much love to Crystal about your daughters. And it's also about bringing whatever it takes to heal our inner child.
Yes.
And so sadly, this little fellow is on the washing machine phase. But I was thinking, I'm going to brought him right now for you, because it is 22 years old. I was having it through a community forum in 2002, and it helped me so many times. So thank you so much for your session. My heart is with you.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing that with us. Who was next? Was it Sharon was next?
Yes, it was Sharon and the beautiful Jenlyn.
Okay.
So, Kristin, I wanted to say thank you, and I wanted to say that there's a lot about our stories that kind of match and resonate. But what I wanted to share is that when my ex-husband decided he didn't want to be married anymore, and we were able to let go of, the abuse, my son and I, and not to say that we let, you know what I mean by let go. But anyway, I was forced to send my son to visitation with him, even though I knew it wasn't the safest thing until my son got old enough to really fight against it himself. But the reason I'm sharing this is because he would choose to take certain stuffed animals with him that were solely connected to he and I. Yes. And he would leave me with certain ones that were solely connected to he and I. To this day, there are stuffed animals on his bed. He's 20. To this day, there are stuffed animals on my bed that I am not allowed to move from my bed. And we take a lot of flack from outsiders who don't get it, and I don't really care. But my point is that we were able to stay connected through those stuffed animals, through I sent him with a journal. It was called Our Hearts or something. I don't remember what I called it. And it was notes from me to him, and then notes that he could have the journal to communicate with me, because he wasn't really allowed to express himself at the other person's house. And he wasn't allowed to communicate with, there were times where he was prohibited from communicating with me, even though that wasn't legally allowed. So we came up with these ways to work around it. But in addition, we are both still working through some of the effects of that now. And he's open about it. I'm very open about it, because these things don't just go away. They're, like you said, and like other people, like April has said, they're in ourselves. They're in our makeup. And so for those people that think, oh, you can just get over it or whatever. For me and for him right now, we are past some of it, in a sense, if you want to use that word, but it is more about managing it and taking it and redefining it so that you use it in a different way.
Yes.
And so that it doesn't control you, but you control it. But to say that it's going to go away, it doesn't go away. It just, you shift it and you play with it like clay to have it fit where you are at that particular point in your life. So there's a lot more that I could say about this, and maybe you and I can connect offline. But I just wanted to share that little bit because it resonated with me.
Thank you so much, Sharon. I really appreciate you sharing part of your story with me and the group today. Thank you for being here. I would love to connect with you further. So my links are in the comments. I'd love to be able to do that. And if you need to, you can reach out to Crystal and we can connect and move forward.